こんにちは、皆さん、はじめまして。私は臼田博子と申します。今日はこのようなイベントに呼んでいただきありがとうございます。
Hello, I am Hiroko Usuda. Thank you so much for inviting me today.
簡単に私の自己紹介をさせていただきます。私は、日本の群馬県で育ち、大学入学とともに東京にやってきました。現在、東京で暮らしております。大学卒業後、日本のエンターテインメント業界で20年以上仕事をしております。
So first, I would like to briefly introduce myself. First, I was raised in Gunma Prefecture and have been living in Tokyo after I entered in university. After graduation, I have been working in the entertainment industry for more than 20 years.
そしてそのエンターテインメント業界での経験を生かしながら、日本のプライドコミュニティ、主に日本を代表するプライド団体である NPO 法人東京レインボープライドでコンテンツプロデューサーを務めています。
So with that experience in the industry, I work as a content producer for the Japanese Pride community, specifically for the non-profit organization called Tokyo Rainbow Pride, which is the leading pride organizations in Japan.
このような立場でこの10年、エンターテインメントの力でプライドコミュニティをエンパワーメントすることに力を注いできました。
So I have been devoting myself as a content producer for 10 years to empower pride community through the power of entertainment.
ちなみに私の葬儀はシスジェンダー女性でありパンセクシャルです。
By the way, I consider myself as a cisgender pansexual woman.
私は普段アーティストマネジメントやキャスティング、イベント等のコンテンツプロデュース、版権の制作や管理等の仕事を行っています。いわゆる表には出ることのない裏方です。
So, as a profession, my work includes artist management, casting, content production for events, and production and management of copyrights. And these types of work is called work behind the scenes, the urakata in Japanese.
そのため、今日のように、このように、人前に立ち自分の言葉を発する機会はほとんどありません。このような場所に立ってお話しするのは、なかなか慣れておらず、話す内容が拙い箇所もあると思いますが、ご容赦願えればと思います。
So therefore, I rarely have an opportunity to give a talk in front of many people like today. So I am a bit embarrassed to stand here and speak in this kind of occasion. So I hope you will forgive me when I have some difficulties to explain certain things.
ではこの後続くパネルディスカッションに先立ち、私から大きく2つのことをお話しさせていただこうと思っています。
So ahead of the panel discussion, I would like to talk about mainly two things.
まず1つ目は、私が体感してきたエンターテインメント業界におけるキャリア構築とジェンダーギャップ、そしてセクシャルマイノリティ当事者を取り巻く過去と今の状況をお話しさせてください。
So firstly, I will talk about building career in entertainment industry and gender gap in that industry, and also the past and the present surrounding sexual minority people in Japan.
その後、日本のプライド団体とエンターテインメントの関わりと変遷、そして未来に向けた皆様へのお願いをお話しさせていただこうと思っております。少々お付き合いいただけましたら幸いです。
So later on, I will explain about our relationship between a pride organization in Japan and entertainment, as well as its changes. And lastly, I would like to kindly ask you favors for our future.
私は25年前、10代の後半にエンターテインメントの業界に入りました。その当時は関わる現場ディレクター、プロデューサー、関連企業の取締役、社長など、物事の決定権を持っている人たちの中に女性ジェンダーの方たちはほとんどおりませんでした。
So 25 years ago, I started my career in the entertainment industry in my late teens. At that time, there were very few women in decision-making positions, such as directors, producers, board members of related companies, and presidents, and etc.
そのような中で、私は音楽業界の畑を踏み続けました。携わったアーティストがヒットチャートの1位を獲得したこともあります。アーティストとともに、名だたるメディアやイベントの出演も数々経験してきました。
So in this kind of environment, I continue to work in the music industry. The artist I have worked with has reached to number one on the music hit charts before, and I have also worked with the artist and appeared on many prestigious media and events.
しかしながら裏側では非常にこの自分のジェンダーを恨んだこともありました。エンターテインメントの裏方の世界は産業の特性もあり、男性ジェンダーが生きやすい社会として出来上がっていったからです。
So, however, on the other hand, I have had this resentment against my gender as a woman because it is easier for male gender to work in that kind of behind the scene, like urakata situation due to the industrial characteristics in Japan.
現在でもそのような業界内の空気は他業種と比較すると大いに存在しています。ですが、時代とともに少しずつ変化の兆しも見られます。若い世代や多様な価値観を持つ人々が業界で成長、参入し、変化を促し、多くの女性たちがリーダーとなって活躍してきています。
So even now, such environments still exist compared to other sectors. However, there are signs of gradual changes over time. Younger generations and people with diverse values are entering and growing in the industry, driving changes, and many women are becoming leaders.
また、セクシャルマイノリティ当事者の存在は徐々に可視化されてきました。多様な性をテーマにした作品が増え、当事者の声がメディアに取り上げられることも増えています。
In addition, the existence of sexual minority people is becoming more visible. More and more works on diverse sexualities are being produced, and also the voices of sexual minority people are increasingly being featured in the media.
しかし、業界内全体においてミソジニーやソギ、アンコンシャスバイアスやマイクロアグレッションなどに対する正確な知識の普及や理解がまだ不十分であることはまだまだ否めません。このギャップを埋めるためには、一人一人がもっと学び、理解を深めていくことが必要だと感じています。
However, there's still a lack of dissemination of accurate knowledge and understanding about misogyny, sexual orientation and gender identity, the unconscious bias, and microaggressions within the industry as a whole. Therefore, I feel that in order to fill this gap, each of us needs to learn more and deepen our understanding.
今から15年前、当時私は20代後半でした。非常に有名な授賞式である歌手が大賞を受賞した際のことです。関係者が裏で笑いながら言いました。彼はオカマでしょ？隠してるけどさ。オカマが受賞か。気持ち悪いよね。
So, 15 years ago, when I was late 20s, it was at a famous awards ceremony when a singer won the grand prize. The person concerned laughed behind the scenes and said, "Oh, he's a faggot," although he's hiding it. And the faggot got the prize, and it's very disgusting.
その言葉が普通のように交わされる現場に私は強い違和感を覚えました。本来の才能ではなく、容姿や性別、アイデンティティで人を評価する風潮に私は耐えられませんでした。そしてそんな世界を変えたいと強く思うようになりました。
So at that time, I had a strong sense of discomfort about this situation where these words were exchanged as if they were natural. And I could not stand this environment where people evaluate others based on their appearance, gender, or identity, rather than on their true talents. Therefore, I strongly wanted to change such world.
分かり合える仲間が欲しい。誰もが尊重される環境が作りたい。その願いを胸に10年前、私は東京のプライド団体である東京レインボープライドに関わることを決めました。
I want to have friends who understand each other. I want to create an environment where everyone is respected. So with this hope in my mind, 10 years ago, I decided to get involved with Tokyo Rainbow Pride, a pride organization in Tokyo.
ここからはいよいよ東京レインボープライドにエンタメコンテンツ制作担当として関わってきた内容と編成をお話しします。
So from now on, I'd like to talk about what I have been doing as an entertainment and content creation manager at the Tokyo Rainbow Pride and how society has changed since.
NPO 法人東京レインボープライドは毎年1年に一度渋谷区で盛大で日本最大のプライドフェスティバルを主催しています。プライドパレードを筆頭にステージやブースコンテンツが同時に展開されるという世界的に見ても非常にユニークな形式のプライドイベントです。そして本年の動員数は27万人という大変大きな規模に成長しました。
So TRP holds the biggest Pride festival in Shibuya every year. This is a very unique Pride event in terms of its format, with the Pride Parade and programs on stage and booths taking place at the same time. And this year's event attracted 270,000 people, which made it one of the largest Pride events in the world.
プライドに関わり始めた当初、仲間たちと第一のゴールとして掲げたのは LGBTQ+ 当事者の存在の可視化、そして東京プライドというイベントの認知度を上げることです。
So when I joined the Pride for the first time, I made two goals with friends. One is visualization of sexual minority people, and the second is to raise awareness about the Tokyo Pride event.
まずはそれを達成できないと LGBTQ+ を取り巻く環境の改善というネクストステージに行けない、そう考えました。そしてそれを可能にするためにエンターテインメントの力を大いに借りてきました。
We saw that if we cannot accomplish these goals first, we cannot move on to the next stage of improving the environment surrounding LGBTQ+ people. And in order to make this possible, we have used the power of entertainment.
LGBTQ+ コミュニティには素晴らしいエンターテイナーたちとカルチャーが存在しています。それらの力をまずは最大限に借りました。そして我々の活動に理解を示してくれるあらゆるエンターテイナーたちも探し回りました。
There are many great entertainers and cultures in LGBTQ+ community, so we took full advantages of them. We also looked around for LGBTQ+ ally entertainers who would understand our activities.
ゴールにたどり着くために彼らの影響力、訴求力を貸してもらいたかったからです。共にプライドイベントを作ってほしいと提案をし続けました。
We wanted them to cooperate with us with their influence and appeal to society so that they can help us to reach our goal. We kept suggesting, asking them to create a Pride event together.
特にアライのエンターテイナーたちからは LGBTQ+ に関わることはリスクが大きいといった懸念を訴えられ拒絶される歳月も長く続きました。
However, we had a long period of rejection from entertainers, especially from those who were LGBTQ+ allies. They said it's risky to be involved with LGBTQ+ events at this moment.
しかし本当に少しずつ力を貸してくれるようになり、それがコツコツと積み重なって私たちの活動に追い風をもたらしてくれるようになりました。
However, little by little, they began to support us, and this support has accelerated our activities.
エンターテインメントは私たちの日常生活の中で欠かせない存在です。映画、ドラマ、音楽、ゲーム、そしてソーシャルメディアまで様々な形で私たちに感動や楽しさを提供してくれます。そしてそれには私たちプライドに与えてくれたような価値観や社会の在り方を変える大きな力があります。
So entertainment is necessary in our daily life. From movies, dramas, music, games, and even social media. And they provide us with excitement and enjoyment in many forms. And they have great powers to change our values and the way we see society, and just as it did for us at Pride.
しかしエンターテインメントがもたらす影響には責任も伴います。人々の考え方を形作る一方で誤ったステレオタイプや偏見を強化する可能性もあります。そのため多様性と包括性を意識することがこれからのエンターテインメントに強く求められる重要な要素だと私は考えています。
However, with the impact of entertainment, it also comes with responsibility. While it shapes the way people think, it also has the potential to reinforce false stereotypes and prejudices. Therefore, I believe that diversity and inclusiveness are the key elements required for the future of entertainment.
長くなりましたが最後に日本の LGBTQ+ コミュニティが抱える現在の課題と皆様へのお願いをお話しさせていただきたいと思います。
Last but not least, I would like to share challenges that a Japanese LGBTQ+ community face and would like to ask your favors.
日本においては LGBTQ+ の人々にとってまだ多くの課題が存在しています。
In Japan, there are still so many challenges for LGBTQ+ people.
まず同性婚が法的に認められておりません。現在、日本は主要先進国の中で唯一同性婚を合法化していない国です。これにより多くのカップルが法的な保護を受けられず、医療や財産、子育てにおける権利などが制限されています。これは深刻な不平等をもたらしています。
So firstly, same-sex marriage is not legal yet. Currently, Japan is the only G7 countries that has not legalized same-sex marriage. Because of this, many same-sex couples are not entitled to legal protection, and their rights related to medical care, assets, and child care is really limited, which bring huge inequality towards them.
また同じく日本では LGBTQ+ 差別禁止法も制定されておりません。学校や職場、公共の場で差別を受けたとしても十分な法的保護を受けることができません。このような状況は国際社会からも批判を受けております。
But furthermore, we don't have anti-discrimination law based on SOGI. So even if you have been discriminated at school, workplace, or public space, you are not able to receive enough legal protection. International community has been criticizing about this situation.
私たちに求められているのは多様性を尊重する社会を本気で目指すことです。皆さんの一人一人の声が法律を変え社会を変える力になります。
So what is required for us is to strongly aim for a society that respects diversity. Your individual voice will be the power to change the law and change society.
私は今日ここにいらっしゃる皆さんと共に新しい未来を作っていけることを心から願っております。どうか一緒に行動していきましょう。本日はありがとうございました。
I sincerely hope that we can create a new future together. Let's act together and thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Also, please bear with me. I'm a bit sick, so my voice doesn't always sound like this. Welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for having us. Thanks to the German Embassy and to our speakers before us, especially you, Hiroko, for setting the framework for our panel today and for giving us also the unique opportunity to engage in this exchange. Personally, for me, this is my first time coming to Tokyo, and I love that being a bunch of queer freaks brought us here together. Okay, once again, welcome to today's discussion on the impact of queer culture on society by examples of queer nightlife in Tokyo and Berlin. Today, our audience present here and at home has the opportunity to hear firsthand from artists and community organizers about our shared experiences, challenges as queer individuals in club culture, and our visions for a more queer inclusive future. Let's dive into it, shall we? I'll briefly reintroduce myself and set the context for why I'm here with this mic in my hand today. So my name is Meg 10. I have been DJing for 8 years now, and I started a queer feminist party series called Homies in Berlin in 2017. It was a very different time at the time. I come from hip-hop. My roots are in hip-hop and dancehall, which have always been branded as like very sexist genres. And I wanted to change that notion by starting my own night and by being a representative of what female DJs could look like. And also a specialty of my party is that typically no cis men, and especially not straight cis men, are playing at my parties. So it's a girls club and also like non-binary and trans identities. So that was honestly the first of its kind in Berlin at the time. So 8 years in, I feel like there is more and more people following the footsteps. And I'm very proud of the work that we have achieved with my party series. And yes, I'm actually very, very interested in hearing about you guys' experiences today. I think I want to bounce the question of what was your motivation to start your own club night to you in Toxi, because you do Fetch Tokyo. And maybe you can tell us a little bit about what is like the core interest of Fetch Tokyo.
First of all, hi guys. Thank you so much also, Mekten, for inviting me to talk about queer club culture, which I've been very invested in for a few years. I actually moved to Tokyo in 2022, and that was when I was DJing for about 3 years, and then just stopped during the pandemic, and then started to DJ again when I moved here to Tokyo. And that was when I was still DJing in a lot of just non-queer venues. And mostly during my whole DJ career, I was mostly DJing in non-queer venues in Kansai as well, Osaka, Kyoto region. And while I was back in Korea during the pandemic, I got to know a lot of drag queen friends, got to know a lot of queer DJs who organize events in Korea. And we still did some parties during the pandemic. And also, I had a really big inspiration from my twin brother. His name's Nick Gala. He was organizing this quite probably the biggest queer party in Korea called Shea Soul. And they had a lot of small and big events here and there. And that actually inspired me a lot to do something in Tokyo as well. Since when I moved to Tokyo and started to go to Shinjuku Nichome, there were a lot of venues that do DJ events and stuff, but I kind of noticed that a lot of events were not doing the same underground music that I was very associated with. It was more pop focused and more just those kind of more poppy, like commercial events.
Mainstream, yeah.
Yeah, mainstream events. So that was when I started to just be more interested in doing a more queer focused event. But I also had a hard time trying to find where the queer DJs are in Tokyo in general, because either they don't really speak out that they're queer, or like not really on their profiles. Some of them are still like hidden, and like also like if you go to certain like events, you don't really know if this person is also gonna play underground music as well, not just like pop music, depending on the venue. So had a little bit of a hard time trying to figure out who to do this with, because also as a foreigner in Tokyo, as someone who just recently moved to Tokyo, it was really hard to do an event on my own. And then fortunately I got to meet 2 other DJs in the queer scene. One is called Muneo and the other one is called Melatime. And us 3, we were in one event, and then we just started to talk about doing like an event together. And then we were at my place, and then we just like said, shall we do an event? And then the whole organizing thing went on. And then finally, this year, February, we started to do our own event called Fetch. And since then, we did 4 events, including one in Korea. And we're planning to expand more and trying to promote more underground club culture inside the queer scene, as well as trying to show other queer kids that we're also, like, you can also do underground like music like anywhere, not just like, more commercial stuff, like just showing them more options to like showcase as a DJ.
Thank you so much. I can very much relate to what you were saying about there weren't a lot of spaces, and also like people would not entrust you with throwing a club night because of you like being a foreigner. Because the same thing was true for me as well, like not because of being a foreigner, but like at the time when I started out, it was really hard to find a club that would rent out to me, actually, because they just did not trust my vision with the event and like trust a female to conduct a club night successfully. But here I am 8 years later, still going strong. And even like the first time that we did the party, we had to like stop letting people in because there was like such a big interest in the space and such a need. So we kept going for this long. But yes, to your left is Mother Labiana. I'm so honored actually to meet you in person, because You know, yesterday we went to Pride House Tokyo, and just like they know you, everybody else knows you. I feel like the whole of queer Tokyo knows who Mother Labiana is. Work, mother. So you do drag, you do ballroom, you organize your own community, you do sexual education and HIV education. That's very admirable to me. And I just want to know, like, how long have you been involved in the scene, and what have been the primary challenges that you have witnessed in Japanese society?
First of all, welcome to Tokyo. I'm so glad you're here. Guten Tag, everyone. Is it right? Guten Morgen? I don't know. Like, I just woke up.
That was perfect.
So my drag name is Labiana, and I grew up in the club. Like, I am a Brazilian Japanese first generation immigrant, and although I lived my whole life here in Japan, like they never see me as a Japanese person because how I look out of drag. So, and I found the club scene when I was like 18, 19, which is like not like in a gray area that's like you can go to the club.
Oh, what's the legal age here?
It's 20. Now they changed, like you can vote from 18, but like drinking, smoking is like from 20. So yeah, it's like a gray area. Like there's some clubs that allow you to go in, but like you cannot have alcohol. And yeah, I found out, and then I kind of like found a sense of like belonging in the club when I was like that age, because I didn't feel I fit anywhere, because first I was like queer, and second because I was like with a foreign, I was like foreigner for them. And after that, the more I discover about the nightlife, drag scene, the more I was like, oh, what can I do to provide to these kids, children coming to the club, what I wish I knew when I was 18, 19, 20. And that's when I started combining the drag with sex education, because here in Japan, sex education is really bad. I think Hiroko mentioned that we don't have any legalized same-sex marriage. They barely have like, they teach about STIs and HIV prevention in schools. They don't teach about gender identities, sexuality, different sexualities. So I want to combine those two, so I could deliver and teach them in a way that is not like on your face. So like they'll come to my show and they watch it and they'll say, oh, like I had a new discovery. So that's like when I started doing these kind of like gigs. Yeah.
Oh, now I want to see you perform. That sounds very intriguing. What does it mean to you to be a mother to so many children? Because like, people call me mother too in Berlin. I have so many DJ babies in the scene. Yeah. So what does it mean to you to like be like looked up to by so many young Japanese queer people?
It's really like it's very precious, like the way they come towards me, because like I think they find in me like a mother figure, a parental figure that they wish that they had growing up as like queer people, as like with different backgrounds. So I think the trust that they have towards me, towards you, I think it's something very like sweet, and I want to give back as much as I can, because that's how I grew up too. Like, fortunately, I have a very loving mother that accepted me, and she's like always supported me, my drag career and everything. But I didn't have like a father figure, for example. So like, there's so many kids there that they moved to Japan from like the countryside of Japan, and my friends told me like when they hit 30, 35, they have to go back, get married, have kids, and keep going with the family business. So like that's the point that we're still in here in Japan. So I'm very, very like honored to be called a mother, and that they find like this sense of like, unity and belonging.
Thank you for also like explaining this concept. Maybe not everyone is familiar with, this concept of motherhood in the queer community, because it's not a given that when you come out to your family, that your family accepts your sexual identity. And So a lot of queer young people have to kind of cut ties with their families voluntarily or involuntarily. And then there's always like a role model that they can look up to. And being called mother is really an honor for sure. Thank you. Katimi, hi. You are a DJ and a producer. And you grew up here in Japan. Obviously, growing up Black in Japan and being queer is definitely a unique perspective today on this panel. And we're very happy to have you. You are basically not only dealing with prejudices against your sexual identity, but also with racism. I would like to know from you what makes you truly feel safe and accepted in nightlife.
In the nightlife.
Yes, as a queer Black person, queer Black woman at that too. So like it's 3 different identity markers that are intersecting. Yes.
So in the nightlife, for the first, I didn't feel like I get discriminated as like as a queer woman, and because of I've been very struggling to like growing up as a Nigerian, Japan, like half Black person. Like people, like when I just like pass on the way, like people like stares at me like all the time, and then I get bullied like when I was a child, and I had very struggling, and then still now I'm kind of dealing with my issue, like that lacking of confidence. But now it's getting better because like I'm taking like counseling, and then like I've been working out and it very helps my mental health. And so for the nightlife, I feel like I don't think I get like something like bad feeling in the nightlife, I guess.
I think that's a great point to point out. Maybe that was one of the spaces where you did not feel discriminated against, and that's why you felt drawn to be an actor, like be a player in nightlife, basically. Yeah.
And actually, like recently, my friend, who's his name is Tai, he started the event at the party, which is like gathering Asian people and I mean like Japanese people and like Black people, and then DJs are all Black. So, and he recently like calling me as a DJ, and I felt like it's very like safe space for me. Yeah, because surrounded by Black people, and sometimes like Black people from New York and everywhere, like all over the world, and I get connected with a lot kind of Black people in there, so like I feel very safe.
I love that. That is so important to feel like you have a peer group also where you feel accepted and who share your experience.
Yes.
Also, did you have any role models growing up that made you want to step foot in the industry?
I didn't have like specific role model, but I always like Beyonce and Destiny's Child. They always give me like hope, and then I could maybe one day I could be like them, and then and then here I am like in music industry now.
For sure. Liberté, égalité, Beyoncé. That's my motto. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I'm gonna go back to you, Intoxi. Also drawing from your experiences in Seoul's nightlife and Tokyo's nightlife, what are parallels? What are the major differences? What can maybe Tokyo's nightlife learn from Korean nightlife?
So actually I can't really advocate or like represent too much about Seoul because most of my adult life I lived in Tokyo, and And as like when I was back in Korea, it was during the pandemic, so there were not many like events in general. But as someone who's more like who is still quite connected to the Korean scene, I would say that I think there's a lot of differences regarding how the Japanese club scene is like, because just in general there are way many clubs in Tokyo compared to Korea. I personally think it's because Japan has been a very like booming economy since like the 70s, 80s, and then nightlife and just like the way of living in general was way better than Korea. So there's still a lot of like venues, bars that are open since like way back, and that also like connects to these like DJs who are like older, who are outside more, and like so whenever people come to Korea, they're like, oh, like you go here and then you go there and then that's it. But then Tokyo, you just go to Shibuya and then there are so many places to go. So in general, just the advancement of just nightlife in general, I think Tokyo has had a nightlife scene since like very long time ago. And also with like the music, like underground music scene, underground genres whenever artists come here, they're like, oh, like I can just go to this like one venue and like just listen to this genre that I don't really listen to a lot in my home country, because like Japan, there are spaces for every genre, every like small this and that. Even though the scene might not be big, there's like people who are very into this like one specific genre, and then like, you know, there are scenes everywhere. So for Korea, I'd say because the scene wasn't that big from the start, and not many clubs happening in general, I feel like Korean like musicians and DJs tend to like try to appeal to international like crowds as much as they can. Is just my personal opinion, but I can definitely see a lot of Korean DJs who also produce music and then connect with people in Asia, and also go abroad, do music there. I definitely feel like a lot of underground DJs in Korea make their own stuff, connect a lot, and just do a lot of like interesting international gigs, which I think is very crucial to also just like them coming back and then just promoting the underground club culture better, which I think is now in the process. Yeah.
Are there like dedicated queer clubs in Seoul?
There are some gay clubs. I wouldn't say there is like a queer club.
Can you explain the difference between gay and queer for the audience?
So just gay in general is just like, you know, like two cisgender men having a relationship, whereas queer is a more umbrella term where gay, lesbian, transgender, bisexual, pansexual, and all the other non-binary, like all the other, like just all combined into one. I'd say there are some events that my friends do. For example, my twin brother, he does an event called Gwangeunchang, which translates to which means then like which is derived from this station name next to this like club area, but also it's it means like if you dissect the words, it means crazy, fun. Yeah. Yeah, the B word. Or I have another friend who organizes a queer femme event in Korea called Divine Him. They invite people like Lady Shaka, Unique, as actually playing there tonight in Cake Shop. Yeah, there are several queer events also in Korea as well. well, and also Tokyo, we have my event. We have Club Skin, which is DJ Poi Poi's event in Isotope, and also like Waifu, which is also like queer feminist event in Tokyo, and like other drag events that are more like inclusive towards like other, like not just like gay people doing drag, but also like a lot of like drag kings, non-binary people, like et cetera, et cetera.
Mhm. Well, while we're on the topic of drag, so could you, Labiana, please also explain what role does drag play in the queer community in Japan? I mean, is it also very influenced by the US drag culture, RuPaul's Drag Race, and all of that? Because like I have to out myself as a massive fan of drag. I have tried it myself too. It's very, very fun. I cannot paint as good as you can, though. So like, what joys can drag bring to society and as an art form in general?
Yeah, I in Japan, drag came 30 years ago, more or less. I was barely born there, but it actually came in Tokyo first. So an artist was studying in New York, and he saw, I think he was like a theater director or something, and he saw drag for the first time in New York, and then he bring back to Japan, and he was like based in Kyoto. So there's a party called Diamonds Are Forever, running for almost like 30 years. So that's like the first drag show that's still currently running here in that. And I think like drag has been brought a lot of influence in the Japanese culture itself. And if you consider like kabuki as a drag or takarazuka as a drag, like which I consider too, like it can be something like very close to drag, I think. Then Japan has been doing drag for over like centuries, and you can see a lot of like drag in television too. Like there's like a huge influence, but that doesn't necessarily mean that's like it's like it brings visibility to the queer community, because a lot of, even like my friends growing up, they saw like the characters that they see on TV. Like we have like so many transgender like artists, performers, comedians on TV, but they think, oh, that's just an act, so like it doesn't necessarily translate the day-to-day life of like.
Could you maybe briefly explain the difference between being trans and drag? Like, I don't think it's always clear to everyone.
Yeah. So transgender is when your gender at birth that was
assigned to you
at birth is not the same as the gender you identify with. So if you're assigned male at birth and you identify as a female, or if you're assigned female and identify as male, or if you identify as neither, like you're usually referred to being trans. And drag is more performing arts. So for me, I think drag is performing the state of gender, what society expects from a certain gender. So drag queen is when you perform a very extravagant version of femininity, or what the society wants to refer to what is feminine, what is to be a female, a woman, not necessarily like mocking women. And like when you're drag king, it's like you're playing with this exaggeration of what society thinks of masculinity. So that's the difference. Are we clear of that, Jen? Yeah.
Thank you. Of course.
I think when Labiana said about like trans people being on TV, but like just like them, they just show like one side in the TV, is usually when like media, like entertainment people, they see just like trans people as like one thing, and then they just like exaggerate that part. So like it's not about, I personally feel like when trans people are on TV, it's mostly just like, oh, this like one part that you're like being trans, and then it should be like exaggerated, like, and that's it. They like, it's not about the conversation of them being trans, it's just about them being trans and being like weird. I feel like it's like what they want them to be portrayed on the media, not these people having control about like what
They don't
they
have
want.
the agency to determine their own narrative.
Yeah. It's basically like, I think it's really like using that identity to, it's like a freak show, really. Yeah, that's what I feel. Yeah, but I feel like, again, like drag is about like liberation. That's why we have like so many women that come to drag shows, because I think Japan is still a very misogynistic society, and I think through drag, I think we can liberate a lot of like these limitations that the women have, but also for queer people too. I think that we have in common. Same like in the voguing ballroom scene. I think like like it's not every day that can I cuss here? Like a woman can go like I can't, So like that's why like we have so many like women, cisgender women coming to the ballroom, voguing down, because I think that's the liberation, the sense of liberation that they don't feel that they have, or they feel that they cannot do that growing up here. Yeah, so I think like liberation is like a big word for the drag community here in Japan.
Absolutely. Wow, so much information. I hope everybody has an idea, concept of what ballroom is, or do you need an explanation? I feel like maybe
Yeah, like
briefly.
also ballroom like originated in the late 60s to the early 70s in New York. It was like drag scene and the ballroom scene goes like really close to each other. It originated first with like the drag pageants, so which is like at the time drag and trans was a very loose term. They were used like to describe the same thing, but like a lot of like transgender women, they also did like a showgirl style of drag pageants to compete against each other. At the time, a lot of like it was like very white dominated, so all the black trans girls, they couldn't win because they were not white, or they had to paint their face in a lighter foundation to appear whiter to the audience. And then a very famous drag queen and trans woman called Crystal LaBeija, she started throwing balls for black people, black trans people, black queer people at the time. So that when voguing started. Vogue comes from the magazine Vogue. So they were like mimicking the poses that the models does, because being black and trans was not an option to be a model, for example. Like the main, I think, job opportunity that they have was like sex workers. So a lot of them, like, they had this stage to wear extravagant gowns, and feel like a model, because that was the only like way for them to feel like important to society. And we also have like a category called realness, which is how, if you're trans, like, so ballroom is very divided with your like gender identity or your sexuality, sexual orientation. So like if you're a trans woman, realness means how much of a cis woman you can like look like, how much possibility do you have. If you're a gay man, we call butch queens. Is like how much of a straight man you can look like. So like those were skill of survival for them. That's why I think they created the category realness. So yeah, like that's like the ballroom Vogue history.
Brief introduction. Thank you so much. Also, if anybody wants more information on this, a really good movie about the ballroom scene is Paris is Burning. I believe you can still watch it on Netflix.
We have on YouTube.
Oh, yeah. Pose too.
Pose.
YouTube, yeah.
More like casual watching is Pose, and more like deep dive is like Paris is Burning.
Yes. Very much so. Thank you. Katimi, I would like to know from you personally, because like it was a big struggle for me in my scene, also being taken seriously by the established clubs, promoters, and my fellow DJs, and like getting bookings at first and stuff like that. What is the female representation, like the status quo of female representation in the DJ scene in Tokyo?
So first of all, like I never think like I am represented like female DJ. So I'm like, I never like, I don't feel like I'm like special in the night scene, like female. I'm just being normal.
Are there many other female DJs in the scene or not? Yeah.
Nowadays, yes.
Is it like 50-50 or is there still an imbalance with male and female DJs?
What do you think? But it's like female.
I think we still have more like men organizing parties, and it's like slightly more like male DJs than women. But like especially in the queer like scene, like the Shinjuku Nichome, which is like the gay area, like I think a lot of women feel comfortable playing there or going there. Not that, like there's no misogyny in the Nichome area, but like I think a lot of women feel safe to go there. So a lot of like we have like so many female DJ playing at those parties as well. Yeah, and maybe like that's slightly different.
But I would also say like a lot of the venues in Nichome, I would say like not like, you know, those like really known ones, but other ones are mostly catered to men, and that is why like there would be like some like clubs, like some venues in Nichome that would only specifically just like cater to gay men, because it's like where people meet up, like where gay men meet up, and then like those events are mostly just like gay male DJs, which has to serve a purpose, because I had this conversation with several friends, because in Nichome there are certain venues where women, like there used to be some venues where women pay more, and their reason, and I think it's quite valid, is because this is where gay men are kind of like, this is probably like only one of the few venues that gay men are comfortable meeting up. So like when like girls or like other gender people go there, these gay men wouldn't really like, it's not
They don't feel safe.
not safe, but like this is not what they're looking for. So it has to cater to a certain like group of people. So, and this is where they feel safe. So that is why some places like cruising spa, it's like cruising like events, not like cruising club.
Let's say like there's like around like 300 gay bars, and 40 of them are for like femme-led,
Okay.
something like that.
Oh, that's a big number though, honestly. I don't know if we can match that in Berlin, to be honest.
Yeah, but like also like there's so many women that goes to gay bars. They have like men only gay bars, men only clubs,
Yeah.
and they also have like women only bars.
Lesbian bars.
Yeah.
Stuff. Yeah.
The ratio is like 300 against like 40.
Okay. I mean, yeah, of course, there is an imbalance too. Also, like, for example, in Berlin, I'm not even sure if we still have any lesbian bars. I feel like it's a global phenomenon that a lot of lesbian bars are closing. Gay bars too, but not as much. And I feel like a lot of that is owed to also dating apps and stuff like that. Because like bars used to be spots where people meet to mingle and like to meet maybe a significant other. And with apps being in place and also like queer dating apps being very popular, there is not the big need for it. I would say there is, but it's not as much as it used to be.
Yeah, also maybe because a lot of like popular gay clubs also tend to now cater more towards everyone. So it's not just like men, but also where men and like like LGBT people, and then people who are comfortable around like LGBT people, like allies and their friends, coming to gay bars, gay clubs. That's also like a big thing now. Even recently, like in Nichome, there's like a surge of just non-LGBT people going to LGBT like clubs and then having fun. So
Do you think that is a good thing in order to, I guess, normalize the fact that there is gay people, trans people in society, and like to foster more visibility? Or do you think it messes with the concept of a safe space?
Oh, I'm totally for just all like genders going into like the same venue and like having fun, because me personally, I don't really see club as like where people meet to hook up. It's where people like gather around and socialize. I don't really see club as just like a only specific to just like one purpose. So yeah, I'm totally for venues just opening up and creating spaces for everyone.
Do the others want to comment on that too?
I like, as long as you understand why we have this space, I think I'm fine like with anyone coming in, because like if otherwise like just go to a regular straight bar or club, like that's like what I feel like. I don't want to like say like, oh, you are not welcome, but I want you to understand why we have these spaces for like specific needs. That's like what I wish.
Just like educate yourself, basically.
Sorry, I want to just like add one more thing. People who come to gay clubs but they also need to understand like these queer events. It's for us first, and then like allies. They're all like, it's great, but also this is more creative for us first. So like sometimes I met some people, like it's not like, it's very few, but sometimes I kind of have this feel like, oh, I'm an ally, I'm here, so I'm like also like like treated the same, but it's not really like
Yes.
it shouldn't be really like that. Of course everyone's welcome, but it always should be like queer people in like, not first, but it's kind of hard to yeah.
I think I understand, and I hope you do too. I have one more question that's like a very personal interest from me, because I'm also a producer and you are too. And I don't know what it's like we talked about female and like gender equality in the DJ scene, but what is it like in the producing scene? I myself am often the only woman in the studio. But like, what about you? Have you worked with other women?
So I normally just I'm making music by myself. Okay. With my PC, open the Ableton, and then just finish it up, and then I don't normally go to studio, so I never like sounded like a lot of guys, so I don't have the experience that. So when I finish my song, my track, and then I just send it to the label, and the label do the
rest of the work.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. But also, I saw that you this year you performed at Tokyo Pride, and it was like an all-female group, right?
Yeah.
And it was very traditional Japanese music. Do you want to tell us about that experience?
Yeah. So I have duo band. Like I work with a koto player, and then she played the koto basically, and then I make beat.
Koto is an instrument?
Yes, it's very traditional Japanese instrument. And yeah, we make music together, and then she's also like pansexual, and then I'm bisexual, and then yeah, and
that is so cool, honestly, because like I don't know, I can't comment on Japanese culture. I don't know enough, but traditionally, when you think about like very traditional instruments and music genres, I don't think about queer people, at first. So I think it's very cool that you are like reclaiming this and, bringing yourselves and your identities and your points of view on like to this music, and also like bringing this to Tokyo Pride, I think, is really, really cool.
It's massive. Like I was so touched. Like
Yeah,
really, like I can be in yeah.
yeah. Thank you for doing that. Also, like that's super cool.
Thank you for saying that.
Well, I heard that we have to wrap it up really soon, so that possibly you guys can also ask us some questions. I have one question left for all of you. You can all take turns. What do you see as the biggest challenge in or like problem in Tokyo's nightlife currently? And what can others, also allies, do to help us or like support us in overcoming these challenges? Big question. Do you want to go?
I will just say it from a club organizer perspective. It's very challenging when it comes to because running an event is also like money is involved, people are involved, and you either have to make it a very community exclusive event or just like having like setting goals. Like for our event, we're focusing more about expanding the culture. So everyone's welcome. Like we also have like several like non-LGBT people DJing as well. But then also we're bringing foreign international guests, so the budget goes up. So we have to find like between making money, but then also not losing money, but then also creating a more expanding like environment to like grow. I'm sure you understand that as well. So that is always like a constant challenge of how do we represent like the queer underground like music scene while still trying to be queer, but also trying to be profitable and well promoted. This is always like very, very, very hard since we are not like as political or something as like other queer parties in Asia do or something, but it is always like very difficult to where to find the way. And I think that struggle I think we'll always like have until the
It's like the age-old topic of resources for art and, just being able to be to like create our own spaces and have the resources to do that without being consumed by the commercial mainstream and like still being a subculture and thrive, right? What would you say, Labiana?
I would say like I feel like society as like a whole think, oh, if you go to a club you're a bad person, but like for example for me, I found my community, I found like a purpose by being in the club surrounding like by friends and family, like or self-made families. So I would love to people understand that the clubs, the night scene, the nightlife, the night culture, they have a lot to offer too. They have a lot of like safe space. Of course it's not like always safe, but it has like this space that a lot of people had to like they don't want to be a part of. So I wish more organizations would like be involved, especially like mental health or sexual health, like outreaching to clubs, because like there's so many people in need in certain needs. So instead of like trying to avoid to say like, oh, like it's not our branding, to like try to be more involved. I want like to be in the same, because like there's so many people that could benefit in both ways. So I think that would be like my main idea, to like even with the pandemic, a lot of like the idea was like, oh, shut down the clubs because like we don't need them. Instead, like, okay, let's try to make it a part of society. I have like so many friends who like have like lost their a source of income during the pandemic because like the government wouldn't help them like financially. So like that needs to be changed. That's what I feel.
That's a big one. Thank you so much for bringing this perspective into it too. Yeah, absolutely. We're talking to the right people here today also who have leverage when it comes to institutions and structures. So thank you for bringing that into perspective as well. Do you have any concluding words?
In the nightlife, I was also agree with her perspective about like how they are helping LGBTQ community like as sociality, or like I feel sometimes they are not really like being involved. It's just because of like they say like diversity is like now is a diversity, and so as a like Black women and queer women, I feel like sometimes the company called me as a DJ event, but I sometimes think it's because of the Black Lives Matter and LGBTQ society is like trend now, and I've been like wondering like if they really want me, or like because I'm Black woman and I say like I'm a queer woman, and so yeah, I feel like they gonna like more
like a pretty cool to work on more.
Yeah, to work on more like
this is surface level. We need to go deeper than tokenism. Like just showcasing, okay, hey, we have this token Black female queer person on our team, so we can't be racist or we can't be homophobic or sexist or whatever, you know? So yeah, that is also a very important topic, I think. The support for the community goes beyond just like surface level representation. Like for a while we were all talking about representation. We need representation, but now we kind of have it. Like we see Black and queer folks like on TV or whatever, but this does not change the underlying structures in society. And I think a lot more needs to happen for truly an equal society. So thank you so much for all of your insights. Thank you so much for listening to us.